Can you do a cartwheel? Well, let's find out. Cimoooooooo! What's going on, guys? It's Cimo. It's the end of the month, which means it's time for the monthly Q&A. So if you're not familiar with how this works, at the end of each month, I go over some questions that you guys left in last month's Q&A video in the comments and answer them here for you. So if you guys want to have the opportunity to have me answer your questions in next month's Q&A, leave your comments and your questions down below, and be sure you thumbs up the comments you really want me to answer, because I do take that into account. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Starting off with our patron questions as always. The Synchro guy asks, what was one of your favorite things that you ever got from a fan of yours? So when I first started Yu-Gi tubing like years ago, a few years back, I was trading with people around the country and also across the world as well, and I actually got a little note from someone named Harvey, who was one of my first subscribers, and we did a trade, and I still have that note to this very day. It's my very first piece of fan mail, and I think that's really cool. Wolf's Bane asks, despite what happened with the OCG Bandlist, do you think Lightsworns will make a splash in the meta post the upcoming TCG Bandlist, as well as World Chalice as well? I would like it to, but very optimistically, I don't think it's gonna happen. I think there may be potential, but, you know, just with the way the meta's been shaping up in the OCG, I don't think it's gonna happen. You're gonna have people trying to play World Chalice and Lightsworn, but realistically, I don't think it's gonna be that common. Brandon Byrne asks, do you keep a large volume of cards, or do you try to move your cards into the market and pick up new cards, and do you try to sell your cards at the times of hype? This is a great question because so many people conspire when I make like a how good is video or something like that I'm trying to manipulate the secondary market. Ooh, but no. So the cool thing is I actually don't really buy large volumes of cards or sell large volumes of cards. When I get cards, I get a playset for myself, and that's it. Like, I'm just a collector in that sense, so that if I ever want to use those cards, I have my playset, and then they just go in the binders, and when I need to access them, I know where they are. I don't, like, try to manipulate the secondary market or buy out, like, a mass quantity of cards or anything like that. Dylan Salone asks, what accessories do you use? So I use player choice sleeves because those are the best sleeves available. I use a Scarlet Spellground typically. I mean, honestly, you'll see me with a variety of different mats because I'm usually trying different ones out that other companies send me. But my Scarlet Spellground is pretty much what I usually go to for the most part. And then my Ultimate Guard Flip and Trade deck box, which I happen to have right here, is basically my favorite deck box that I've ever owned. Robert Jacob Rowland asks, when you do your next Bandlist reaction video, before you look, can you please say Zodiac Genocide? Absolutely. Eddie Lazdowski asks, will you ever bring back Throwback Thursdays? So the reason I stopped that is because I kind of ran out of really broken cards. I think I've talked about this before. We pretty much covered all the stupid broken shit, and then anything else we would talk about really wasn't as broken as something of like the anime version of Card of Demise or Card of Sanctity. So it kind of felt lackluster in comparison, and that's kind of why I put that series on the back burner. Cody McCracken asks, is there a deck you always hold just in case they randomly get support or something comes off the ban list? Yeah, I talked about how I have several different deck cores in different binders in my collection, so realistically, if anything like Shadal's or, you know, Satellar's or whatever like the deck is that I like playing gets support, I pretty much have the deck ready to go. Noodle Monarch asks, what dat mouth do? I don't even know how to respond to that. Ace asks, what is the archetype you cannot stand playing against other than Exodia and burn decks? Hey, fuck you, Cyframes, get the fuck out of here. Katie Curtis asks, what cards would you like to see come off the next ban list? There's like a few, there's so many cards that don't need to be on the ban list in the first place, and I've talked about this before. I can't name any specifically off the top of my head, but like, I guess El Shadal Construct, even though Shadals won't do fucking anything with Construct at 1, I just want it to be off the ban list because that deck is so much fun. There's just so many little things that if you look at it, it's like, does this really need to be banned? And the answer is no, or limited, or semi-limited. You guys know how much I fucking hate the semi-limited list. Raoul Jordan asks, would you consider making an online tournament that all of your viewers can participate in? Funny you mention that. We're going to be talking about that very soon. An Alaskan bullworm, who still has one of the funniest names on here, asks, how does it feel knowing you could lose over 100 duels in a row to a dumb, drunk hamster, but still not be as scrub as Team Samurai? Iffy asks, how is the OCG superior to the TCG? I don't know, I just feel like the OCG, because they get cards first, I think inherently it's better because the OCG has to conceptualize and come up with a lot of the deck lists, whereas here in the TCG, we kind of just mirror the OCG and we see, oh, that worked for them, so we're going to play that. So I feel inherently that the mindset behind OCG players is a lot better in that sense. It's more of an innovative mindset than a refinement mindset, if that makes sense. And you guys have a better ban list, I feel, as well, because you have cards that could probably be legal, but at the same time, I mean, it really just goes back and forth. Moving on to our YouTube comments, Adam Chan asks, why don't you stand up in your videos anymore? Because I got sick of wearing pants. Meow Cat asks, are traps gay? Well, I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't like playing against Paleozoic. I think cards like Quaking Mirror Force and Dimensional Barrier and all these other stupid pieces of shit cards are really dumb. So, in that respect, yes they are. Wes asks, can Counter Fairy be tier 1 after the new support? It honestly rests in the fate of Card of Demise. The Monolith TCG asks, who is your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh player and your favorite Yu-Gi tuber? I don't think I have a favorite Yu-Gi-Oh player. There's no one I can really think of that I idolize or anything like that. And as for Yu-Gi tuber, there's so many people in our circle that I'm really fond of, and I really don't want to just name a couple. I'd rather make an entire video dedicated to the ones I really love and why I love watching them. K-Sprice45 asks, have you ever played Pokemon or Magic? And if you have, are there any mechanics in them that you would like to see in Yu-Gi-Oh? So, I've played a little bit of Magic. I actually watch a lot of competitive Magic and some Magic-related content. And I've never played Pokemon, even though I've watched people play it. So, I kind of have an understanding of how it works. I think things like the mulligan mechanic would be very interesting to see implemented. I know Robbie Cole has kind of done a video series on that. I kind of want to explore that idea myself. I'd like to see more cards that scry, similar to what Balbaboon does in its secondary effect. I think that's a really cool idea, and there's a lot of cool just little mechanics in Magic the Gathering that would be really interesting to see implemented in Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm just not exactly sure how they would translate because the game functions completely differently, but there is a lot of, you know, potential ideas there. Curtis McConnell asks, what's your favorite old school booster pack or product and why? It's gotta be Magician's Force because it has my favorite card of all time, Breaker the Magical Warrior. It's also a very hallmark set for its time. It's got so many cool cards. I absolutely love it. Tom Hogart asks, in your opinion, what has been the most Tier 0 format and do you think Tier 0 formats are good for the game? The only true Tier 0 format that has ever existed in this game, in my opinion, is Teledad format, basically, and Dark Arm Return, they kind of meld together. And that's because if you did not own those cards at that time, if you did not own a Crush card, you were at a significant disadvantage. On top of the fact you had to own 3 Dark Arm Dragons, that, in my opinion, is the true definition of a Tier 0 format. Do I think it's good for the game? I don't, from the perspective of how much it costs to play the deck. If there's a Tier 0 format and the deck is affordable, then maybe, but I'm of the opinion that the game should be very diverse, and I'd love to see a myriad of different decks playable, especially at a competitive level. I do appreciate in Tier 0 formats the very nuanced and intricacies that take place in that mirror match, but in terms of its overall, if it's healthy for the game, I don't think so. I'm very pro-diversity in that respect. Alfie Morton asks, are you ever going to any UK YCSs, hopefully London, in October? So, I wanted to give you guys an update on this because I've been thinking about it a lot, and I think it makes the most sense that if I'm going to fly out for any European event, it probably should be the European WCQ, and the reason for that is because that's the biggest event Europe has all year, and it'll give me the opportunity to meet most of my fans who are in Europe. So, if I do fly out for an event like that, it's probably going to be the European WCQ. Maybe like a large YCS as well. Like I know sometimes like Ramini can get really large numbers or things like that, but most likely it's going to be the European WCQ. Grunkelstan asks, what is your most prized oldest card that you will never get rid of? So I have a couple of OG first edition Blue Eyes White Dragons, which fetch a pretty penny nowadays considering they're essentially near mint, and I'm probably never going to get rid of them just because of the significance they have with the game. Plus I love the deck, and it's just one of my favorite cards ever, and it just has a lot of sentimental value. Sora Galactica Gaming asks, Trickstars, yay or nay? Fuck them. Grimjow994 asks, what's your favorite pasta sauce? Pasta carbonara is the greatest pasta sauce of all time, and I don't care what anyone says otherwise. Pesto's probably a close second, though. Yugioh Descendant asks, so with people like you, MCO40 Yugi No will sadly stop making videos, what do you think about the next generation of Yugi-tubers since most won't have played the game as long as you guys? I think that partially is an issue. I mean, obviously it doesn't matter that we've played as long as we have. It gives us a lot of different insights than maybe people who just started playing more recently. But I think the bigger issue is more so how often the newer tubers are going to consistently produce content. Because you got people like me, Robbie, you know, No, all of them we're producing stuff like almost every day for you guys. And so if the newer tubers can pretty much focus more on consistency, then I think that is more valuable to all of you than the fact that we've played as long as we have, as valuable as that is. Flo Richard asks, greetings from France. Which French words do you know? Un, deux, trois, omelette du fromage. That's probably it. Raoul Bastidas asks, waffles or pancakes? Waffles 100% of the time, all day, every day. Even with bacon grease pancakes, which are the greatest thing ever, waffles and against pancakes 1-to-1, waffles win every time. Yash Shahani asks, how do you feel about me spelling your name with 7 O's instead of 8? I have a feeling that you are stress eating sugar right now. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm totally fine with it. And for this month's last question, Sora Shiunin, I'm sorry if I butchered your name there, asks, can you do a cartwheel? Well, let's find out. Oh, God. Well, I guess we found out the answer to that now, didn't we? And that's gonna do it for this month's Q&A. Guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I love doing this for you guys because it allows you to get to know me a little bit more personally, and I think it's a lot of fun. So guys, remember, if you want to have the opportunity to have your questions answered in next month's Q&A, be sure to put them down in the comment section below and thumbs up the questions you want me to answer because I do take that into account. So guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Be sure to like the video as always, subscribe to the channel for more amazing Yu-Gi-Oh content, and if you really love this video, consider backing me on Patreon, because just by pledging only $1 a month, you're investing in my ability to continue bringing you amazing Yu-Gi-Oh content. So thanks so much again, and we'll see you next time.